Bryce Dallas Howard was only 23 years old when she got the lead role in a $70 million movie without auditioning. You'd assume she's incredibly talented, but in this case, Bryce got that role because of her dad, Ron Howard.
No, I'm going with it because it works for the funds.
Hollywood is becoming known for its nepotism. There are Nepo-Babies everywhere, and it's not just newer stars like Dakota Johnson or Alexander Skarsgård. It's shocking how many iconic A-list celebrities had famous parents. George Clooney, Gwyneth Paltrow, Robert Downey Jr., Angelina Jolie, Ben Stiller, Laura Dern, Jamie Lee Curtis. I'll stop. But there's a lot more. It makes you wonder, does anyone in Hollywood really deserve to be there? And maybe the most important question, are movies and shows worse because of all the nepotism?
I know.
It's hard to imagine the last 30 years of film without George Clooney, even though his dad was a TV show host and his mom was a singer. Laura Dern was perfect for Jurassic Park, even though her parents were also famous actors. It's too simple to say that a celebrity doesn't deserve recognition just because their family helped them. A lot of the greatest performances in film and TV history were the direct result of nepotism.
You should be thanking me.
If you look at high-level athletes, many of them had successfully athletic parents. Maybe it's nature, or maybe it's nurture, but either way, you can't argue certain professional athletes don't deserve their spot because of their parents. It's just a genuine advantage to have a sports-oriented family, and maybe the same is true in Hollywood. If you have famous parents, maybe you're just more likely to make a good entertainer yourself. Obviously though, being in a famous family doesn't always make you talented. There's another side to Hollywood's nepotism, which gets us back to Bryce Dallas Howard.
Ugh, you're using mom's lines now?
There are certain performances that just don't feel right. Even though I usually love him, Joaquin Phoenix felt out of place in Napoleon. Johnny Depp was just a touch too weird as Willy Wonka, but he made the perfect Jack Sparrow.
You will always remember this as the day that you almost caught Captain Jack Sparrow.
Even great actors have off performances, but with Bryce Dallas Howard, it seems like the norm. She's not awful, but she always seems out of place and doesn't really transform into her characters. It's so noticeable that I wondered, how did Howard even get this famous? And from there, we arrive at nepotism again. Bryce Dallas Howard has famous parents, and an especially famous dad, Ron Howard. Ron is one of the most successful producers and actors of the last 40 years, which makes Bryce's Wikipedia page a lot more understandable. When she was just 23, Bryce was cast as the lead female role in M. Night Shyamalan's The Village. This was a major blockbuster project, and usually, such a big role would be given to a proven screen actor. But Shyamalan saw Howard perform on stage and immediately gave her the role, without making her audition. It doesn't take a rocket scientist to figure out why she got the part, despite being so unproven.
He'll come back to make sure we're safe.
If you like this kind of video, make sure to subscribe for more. Howard's career grew from there until 2015, when she got her biggest role to date, Jurassic World. By this time, Howard had gotten some critical praise, and Jurassic World's success was the high point of her career. When I watched the movie though, I got the same feeling as usual. Howard isn't nearly as good as Chris Pratt. The difference in their charisma and presence is striking. It's not like Jurassic World is a perfect movie, but her performance still stood out as one of the low points, which is a theme.
Oh, please, no. Do not tell your mother about that ever.
We can draw a direct line from Howard in Jurassic World to her part as Ellie Conway in Argylle. Argylle is far from a flawless movie. When we were 20 minutes in, my friend leaned over and asked, "What part of the story are we in?" The pacing is all over the place, the dialogue is brutal, and the characters only have 1 to 2 traits each. Despite all of its flaws, Argylle did get one thing right. It casted Sam Rockwell as the lead. Usually, this would at least be enough to make a fun movie, but it just made Bryce Dallas Howard seem even less convincing. Sam is fully into his character, but all he's getting back are flat, unrealistic emotions from Howard. It makes every scene with the two feel awkward and fake, and it's clear that Sam Rockwell isn't the reason. Just like with Chris Pratt, Howard seems weaker next to good actors.
So what, I should just build my own cabin, play pool, and drink beer all day while these dinosaurs go extinct?
Yeah, I like pool.
If you feel like Bryce Dallas Howard isn't that bad of an actor, that makes sense. She has some good roles, especially her part in the Nosedive episode of Black Mirror. But when you compare her to similarly successful actors, it's hard to think of anybody weaker. It's fair to say Howard is so famous because her name is Howard, and not because of her. Bryce Dallas Howard is far from the only under-talented Nepo-Baby in Hollywood. With Madam Web, Dakota Johnson proved once again that we only know her name because she's a third-generation Nepo-Baby, with famous parents and grandparents. She also doesn't like being called a Nepo-Baby.
I kind of like how you also poke fun of this whole Nepo-Baby thing.
When that first started, I found it to be like incredibly annoying and boring.
I kind of sympathize with Dakota, but denying how lucky you got doesn't really help your case, especially when you're clearly more famous than you are talented. O'Shea Jackson Jr. is another actor who doesn't seem to be playing a character in his roles, but managed to find mainstream success anyway because of his dad, Ice Cube. Jamie Lee Curtis has been famous for her whole life, but when you put her in a cast as stacked as Knives Out, she kinda stands out as a weaker actor. Her career got started because this is her mom. So it still isn't clear. Is nepotism bad for Hollywood? Or is it okay? Is it maybe even a good thing? So many great actors and filmmakers come from nepotism, and yet a lot of weak performances come from it too. In the end, you can't dismiss someone as untalented or undeserving just because their parents helped make them successful. But at the same time, you can't deny the incredible luck these Nepo babies have. Most of them are probably more famous than they should be based on ability, and it's okay to acknowledge that. I'm sure we'd all want to be actors too if the path was so clear. Nepotism isn't the end of the world in Hollywood, but it does lead to some pretty bad performances. For that, look no further than Bryce Dallas Howard in Argyle or Dakota Johnson in Madam Web. Thank you guys so much for watching this video. If you like this kind of content and you want to see more like it, make sure to subscribe to the channel and keep a lookout for future videos. I'll see you soon.